Hi people, Daniel from Devon Sons Guitars here, and today I'm going to show you a customization I've done for a client on his Hofner bass that makes it more like Paul McCartney's. Great, so I'm just working on this relic job that I'm doing on this Hofner bass for a client who actually plays in a Beatles cover band. I'm sure many people that play bass in a Beatles cover band have a guitar like this. But anyway, what he really wanted was a customization that made it a bit more like Paul McCartney's. And apparently in the 80s, Paul McCartney had some holes drilled in the corner of the control plate because the screws that went through the two holes on the side had basically just worn thin. You can see that the holes just literally go into the guitar here, into the bass here, and it literally screws in and through the wood. So no wonder that that can wear after a time. Especially as he had it for so long. So in the 80s, he had these extra screws put in here and here, the original holes, and I'm going to drill in the four corners. All the screws on the Hofner bass are actually like this, are slotted screws. And what he ended up doing was putting Phillips head dome screws on. Excuse my dirty fingers, I've just been, as I said, putting the relic effect on the bass, and that's some wood dye that's gone under my nails. If you want to see the videos on that, I'll be putting up a series about how I did the relic. Got 4 of these to put in the corners. So they're domed, well they're actually quite flat, but with a dome. I think they'll be quite good. Now in order to drill the holes safely, I'm not actually going to take all the components out. I'm just going to use a bit of wood that I can put up against where I'm drilling here. It's a bit of scrap wood, just to make sure there's some surface behind it so that it doesn't crack. It's quite a tight fit. Also, what's really important with these screws is the hole here has got to be wide enough that the screws can pass through, but not the head of the screw, because you don't want the screw actually biting into the control cover material. So here on my drill gauge, I can see that these screws fit nicely for a 2.5mm screw. So let's get a 2.5mm driver bit. So I'm going to actually use this bit, which fits into my screwdriver, my electric screwdriver. I prefer not to use a really powerful, very fast turning drill when I'm doing delicate work like this. So this should work quite well. Some people use pin vices when they do it. And you could just do it with a drill press. I prefer to be safe. And what I'm going to do is, first of all, mark with my bradawl exactly where I want to drill. Let's mark the 4 corners. It may not really show up on the camera. That's just to make sure my drill bit does not slip. Now it's really important that this here is touching the wood and not catching the bit of metal under there. That way there's no give on this. I'll position my drill bit in the little mark I've made. And I'm drilling slowly and not applying much pressure. I'm letting the drill bit do the work. I don't want to risk breaking the cavity cover. And I can feel I've hit the wood there because the cavity cover sort of moved a bit as it hit the wood, and the drill started turning at different speed. It's much easier to drill through the wood. So I'm just going to drill down a little bit into the wood just to make sure that my hole is nice and smooth, and then I'm going to reverse my drill and come back off a bit. There we go. And there you can see my new hole. And let's just check. Yeah, it fits through nicely. Now you've got to be careful not to go too close to the edges, otherwise you might get a crack there. And when you screw the screw in to the wood, you want to be careful not to go too tight in case you crack there. Right, so sorry to interrupt the video, but just to let you know that I'm not supported by anyone. So if you're enjoying this video, I would really appreciate it if you'd consider tipping me a cup of tea. You can tip me a tea on my Ko-Fi page, links below. Every little helps because I spend a lot of time making and editing these videos. And I've recently given up my job teaching art to focus on making my guitars and making these videos. So every bit of support helps. You could also, as well as tipping a tea, buy a tea. I sell t-shirts like this on my website. And you know, all the normal liking and subscribing is brilliant as well. Leaving comments in these videos is fantastic. I love interacting with people. And sometimes the conversations we have make the whole making a video process worthwhile. I'm also on other social medias, so you can check me out there. And if you're able to, please do share this with someone else. Sharing is caring. Anyway, let's get back down to the video. Excellent, so now I'm going to drill the holes for the screws in the body, and I'm going to do it before I've wired everything back up. In fact, you can see I haven't even put the strings back on this guitar yet. I'm busy doing videos about how to put strings on, how to adjust the pickup heights on these basses. So if you're interested, do check it out. Now, I can line up with the screws that are already there, and just to be safe, I'm going to use the screws that are already there just to hold it in place. Although in the long run, I don't want these screws on it, because the Paul McCartney one doesn't have them. And it won't need them to hold it in place. Just be a bit excess. But it will mean that I can use the holes I've drilled here as a guide. So for this hole that I'm going to drill, I'm going down to a size 2 instead of 2.5, because I want this to be the pilot hole that these screws go into. It'll stop the wood from cracking or splitting when I put the screw in, but I don't want the hole so big that the screw just falls through. So this is 1/2 millimeter thinner than the other one that I drilled the holes in the cavity with, the cover with. Again, now I'm not screwing so tight down that I'm pushing really hard into the wood, because this wood is curved, the cavity cover is flat, and I don't want the two to sort of push into each other and cause a dent. So let's drill the other 4 holes. Great, now that's done, all 4 are in. I can unscrew the 2 original screws. And then send a WhatsApp photo to my client to check he's happy. And then I'm going to wire up this guitar. Well, fantastic. Thanks for watching. I hope you did enjoy this video. I've got quite a few more videos on this bass because I've just done a relic job on it as well. So if you are interested, do go and check out my Hofner bass playlist here. Until next time, happy strumming.